New figures show that there's a growing number of people on our roads driving under the influence of drugs. JC Normand has been investigating and joined Cheshire Police as they try to combat the offenders.
These videos show people driving recklessly as they try to evade the police.
She's nearly had a head-on with another car, so back.
The driver's actions show a complete disregard for other road users while speeding excessively on our roads. They all felt they had a reason to try and avoid capture.
Just confirming it's a decamp across the field,
They were all found to be driving under the influence of drugs. The latest video from road safety campaign Think is targeted at young men. Those most likely to use drugs and get behind the wheel of a car. In order to effectively police this, the government changed the drug driving laws in March 2015, which gave Cheshire Police and Inspector Steve Griffiths additional powers to combat offenders.
In the past, we couldn't test on the roadside. Since then, they've introduced drug wipes, so we can now test on the roadside. And we were finding that there was an issue with people using drugs before driving, and this has given us a really good way of testing and taking them off the roads if need be. But certainly what it's found is that there are plenty of people out there who do take those risks daily, and the amount of arrests we've had demonstrates that we're very much onto it.
We're going to talk a little bit now about Section 5A, which was introduced in March 2015 and now includes drug screening devices.
At this training centre, these Cheshire Police officers are learning how to use the new equipment.
And it will give us an indication if it tests positive for either cocaine or cannabis.
1, 2, 3.
They're also being walked through the FIT test, an American-style sobriety test which is useful in finding out if a driver's ability is impaired.
The officers have a power to conduct a breath test for alcohol, a roadside test for drugs, and also one of these field impairment tests. Well, the only issue we have at the moment regarding drug screeners is that they only detect both cannabis or cocaine at the scene.
If an officer suspects there is impairment caused by any other type of drug, the driver can be taken back to the station for a blood test.
There are a considerable amount of drugs with regards to both illegal drugs and over-the-counter prescription drugs, which can be misused and have a real effect on drivers.
The drug driving law sets strict limits for 17 different drugs. Police can now test for illegal drugs like cannabis, cocaine and ecstasy, but also prescription drugs like temazepam or diazepam, used for anxiety and sleeping problems, and also morphine-based painkillers. And these new powers have produced results. In 2016, Cheshire Police arrested 966 people for failing roadside drugs tests, and so far, over 500 of those have been charged with drug driving offences.
Moving vehicle check, please. Dunwoody Way at Crewe.
One of the officers on the front line is Chris Buckley. He's been patrolling the streets of Cheshire for 12 years.
Certainly coming out of McDonald's at this time of the morning, it's worth a little chat with him.
Chris took me out on an evening shift to tell me what he looks for.
You kind of get used to, not sort of stereotyping, but what sort of cars and what sort of vehicles potentially are going to be those used by people that may use sort of cannabis, cocaine, etc. And it is a bit of the old Bobby's nose, and it literally comes into being the Bobby's nose when sometimes you're following vehicles and believe it or not you can actually smell it coming through the air vents from the car. So you do find your own little ways, and you have all little places where you might go where you think to yourself, you know, there's a good chance we might get somebody. What was the speed limit down that road you were just coming down? Come on. How do? You all right? Just to let you know, do you know you've got a light out at the front?
A few broken tail lights and some questionable driving mean Chris has stopped a few cars this evening.
And I say the majority of people wouldn't dream of drink driving, or they would say they almost use the 2-pint rule, which, in fairness, you can never go by the 2-pint rule because you've got a legal limit of 35 for drink driving. Now that could be 2 pints for you. It could be 3 pints for me. We don't know.
With the law being so new, I wondered how anyone using recreational drugs could know the limits for driving.
We don't really know the strengths, and it can't be measured in the same way that you can, you sort of measure your alcohol. So, I can't imagine that somebody would sit there on a Friday night with their mates and go, you know what, if I have 2 spliffs tonight, I'm going to be fine tomorrow, but I won't drive tonight. And that's the trouble, though. A lot of the times they will say, well, I've not had any today. I had some yesterday, or I had some the day before. I'd never dream of drink driving or drug driving. Well, unfortunately, you are.
And then, on a routine check, his copper's nose pays off.
Is it your vehicle, is it, mate?
Yeah, girlfriend's vehicle, mate.
Right, you insured on it?
Yeah.
Really? You're not, are you?
No.
Alright. You got cannabis in there by any chance?
I haven't, mate, no.
You smoke cannabis?
Yeah, but I haven't today.
When did you last have some?
Yesterday.
Alright. I smell it, so it's definitely not in the vehicle. Have you got a driving licence?
Only a provisional, mate.
That'll explain your driving then. Pass us the key then, mate. Right, so you've got no insurance, is that what you're telling me? Yeah. And you've got a provisional licence? Only. Stick your tongue out. You have to go a bit further forward, isn't it? That's right. That's it. Takes 8 minutes for the results, but we've got all the other paperwork to fill in now for your vehicle anyway, okay. You know cannabis can stay in your system for some time, don't you? Yeah. Right, that has indicated you've got cannabis in your system. Alright, which is probably what you expected, wasn't it? So I just need to tell you that at the moment you're under arrest for no insurance, for driving otherwise in accordance with your licence, and also on suspicion of driving a motor vehicle whilst drug level over the prescribed limit. Alright? It's a good result for us. We've got a drug driver with no insurance and an unlicensed driver off the road. But for him, well, his car's been towed away, or his girlfriend's car's been towed away, so he's going to get his ear chewed for that. He's potentially going to get a disqualification.
And what's this chap here for?
He's been stopped driving a motor vehicle, stopped him due to the manner of his driving. Upon speaking to him, he smelt of cannabis. He subsequently failed the roadside drug wipe.
At the station, the driver is processed and blood is taken by a nurse to find out what drugs he has in his system. The results take about a month to come back.
Cheers,
He's got a lot to worry about. Financially, it's going to hit him hard. He's potentially just ruined his life, really, through stupidity.
Throughout December in Cheshire, 156 people were arrested for drink driving, with the drug driver arrest figure at a total of 111. Both Merseyside and Greater Manchester Police also reported an increase in drug driving arrests in December compared to the previous year. It's perhaps surprising that in the space of just 2 years under new laws, that the figures for both are creeping ever closer together.
It's just nearly had a head-on with another car, stand by.
Oscar 99, Oscar 99.
I've been to numerous collisions where alcohol and drugs have been a major factor. Also being a family liaison officer, you get to deal with the families, and having to be the one that goes and knocks on that door and tells the family, it has a devastating effect on not only the victims' families, but even the offender. They potentially go to prison. They're going to lose the job, they lose the licence, and they just don't think about this before they go out on the road, and it's essentially selfish.